Tonight I'm filled with righteous indignation. I want to define something for you tonight. The definition for pervert. It means to alter something from its original course, meaning, or state to a distortion or corruption of what was first intended. It means to lead someone away from what is considered right, natural, or acceptable. This book has been permitted in 6 schools in the Wake County public school system. Doesn't it make you cringe as I read that to you? I witnessed as each person came up and read different things from the books that's in the public school system here. You all cringe. You don't like it. You don't want to hear it aloud. You don't want anyone to read it. It makes you crawl in your skin. It's a dastardly deed. The question today is, who is the pervert that's allowing this to be purchased and delivered to our libraries? Come out from wherever you are. Who is the pervert that signs off on this filth? Who are you? You know, what do you stand for to accept this? Can you be in your right mind and be decent as a human to allow this to be at the access in the fingertips of children? Who is the pervert that thinks that this is okay? Who is the pervert that sits smug in the school board meeting while this takes place? Who is it?
Well, let me tell you, less than 5% of the entire population of North Carolina identifies as LGBTQ. You guys all claim you want democracy. Well, you know what democracy is? It's the majority plus one. It's 50 plus 1. You know what? More than 50% of the people in this state claim that they believe in God, Almighty God, who made us male and female, God who made marriage between a man and a woman, God who said that we must protect our children. The fact that we can stand up here and we can brag about all of the wonderful graduations, but we know the statistics. 50% of children did not pass their end of grade tests. What are we celebrating? We have children coming up here telling us how horrible the mental health crisis is. Why? Most of us went to public school, and all of our peers are not in mental health crises. We have to ask ourselves, what are we doing to our children? I'm going to say we are discussing things with them that they are not emotionally, intellectually, and morally able to handle. That is what is causing the anxiety. That is what is causing the depression. That is what is causing the confusion. We need our children to be able to be children, to be able to be innocent, to be able to enjoy childhood and not know all of the drama and all of the difficulties in adult life. That is what we want. We want our children to be able to read and write and to think for themselves, and we demand that the children who fear God are protected in your schools.
Our next speaker is John Amanchukwu, followed by Robin Livingston.
I'm here to speak up for our children and our youth. They are being robbed of their innocence by the culture, woke parents, and the school system. They are being taught and pushed an over-sexualized indoctrination that tells them that they are a mistake and the wrong gender. That's a lie. They are also surrounded by adults that are celebrating pride instead of humility. LGBTQ makes up of only 3% of the population, but it's being pushed as if they are the majority, while the majority are being mocked and dismissed. We are already seeing the effects of this push. Young children and the youth are depressed, suicidal, and confused more than ever. I have recently heard countless stories of young trans adults who regret their decision and are now dealing with lifelong consequences. Consequences from cutting off their body parts, blocking their natural growth and development process, getting several irreversible surgeries, and taking lifelong medication. They now deal with mental torment, depression, and suicidal thoughts, all because they were taught to hate their God-given genders. The children's books, as you heard today in the public libraries and schools, are explicitly teaching kids how to have sex and to question who they were born to be. It is scientifically proven that our brains do not fully develop until we are 25 years old. When we are children, we don't know who we are or how to make decisions. I was a tomboy as a little kid who never wore a dress and loved to climb trees as a kid. And I'm so grateful my parents and my school did not tell me I was the wrong gender and change my gender. Because I love being 100% woman. You cannot blame guns for the school shootings by students. You must blame their mental health due to all this indoctrination. Growing up, I never heard of school shooting until Columbine happened. That was the very first time you heard school shooting. Now it's become the norm. This agenda targeting our children has to stop before we have a world filled with hopelessness.
My son has access that he's 8 on his Wake County public school system laptop. Immediately pulled up genderqueer. Immediately was able to see all the photos. You know what they're reading. We've shown you what they're reading. They're reading things they should not read. But you can gaggle them, right? But you won't stop genderqueer from coming up on an 8-year-old's laptop. So I find that odd. But then, this is a corrupt board, so then I realized that that's just how it is, and things need to change. Additionally, there is queer affirming, which is working towards a queer affirming network where heteronormative thinking no longer exists. So the NCAE is basically saying that the goal is so that kids do not look and think the mom and the dad, that's normal. That's not normal. They don't want that to be normal. Why? I mean, does anybody know? Y'all don't.
Hello. I'm here to speak on behalf of our younger children and their academics. This book, It Feels Good to Be Yourself, which has an oxymoronic title based on its content, can be found in 26 elementary schools. It is geared towards K-2, and as Macmillan Publisher says, it basically is geared toward ages 4 through 8. It introduces 4 different characters with different gender identities. It makes it seem as if gender is an imaginary concept that can be changed on a whim, when the truth is gender is factual. You're either a boy or a girl. And gender identity, what you see yourself as, that's imaginary. Well, let me read you a couple of things. First character is Ruthie. She's a transgender girl. That means when she was born, everyone thought she was a boy until she grew a little older, old enough to tell everyone that she's actually a girl. Then there's her brother Xavier. Xavier is a cisgender boy. Which 4 through 8-year-old knows what cisgender means? Can they spell cisgender? That means when Xavier was born, everyone thought he was a boy, and as he grew older, it turned out everyone was right. He was a boy. Then there's Alex, the friend. Alex is both a boy and a girl. Then there's JJ. JJ is neither a boy nor a girl. Ever since JJ was very little, they never felt exactly like a boy or girl. They just felt like themselves. This is JJ's gender identity. Some kids feel like girls. Some kids feel like boys. Some kids feel like a little bit of both. Part boy, part girl. Reminds me of that old commercial. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Is that okay? Some kids don't feel exactly like a boy or a girl. They feel like neither. Some kids feel that their gender identity isn't always the same. It's often changing. So now are we endorsing schizophrenia? What are we doing? Whether you feel like a boy or a girl or neither, if you describe yourself another way, that is your gender identity. When does this foolishness stop? When you shroud lunacy, insanity, or fallacy in colorful words and pictures to be read to young children, you have created an unsafe environment, since we're talking about safe environment, right? Where does it stop? At this tender age, our children should be learning their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. Who authorized this? Who told you that you are God? Who gave you permission to tell our children who they are and who they're supposed to be? This is intentional and evil at its core. Get back to what you were elected to do and formally educate our children, not indoctrinate them with left-wing ideologies under the guise of providing a safe and welcoming space. Hear us clearly. We will not surrender our children. Leave our children alone.